The royal palace had never looked more radiant. White roses lined the grand staircase, chandeliers reflected softly across polished marble floors, and the sound of an orchestra drifted through the historic halls. Across Spain, millions watched as Princess Leonor prepared for one of the most important days of her life. It was her wedding day. People expected elegance, celebration, and tradition. What they did not expect was the emotional moment that would leave Leonor wiping away tears before she even walked toward the altar. The reason wasn't nervousness. It wasn't the weight of becoming a wife. It was something Queen Letizia quietly said when the cameras weren't focused on them. According to this fictional story, only a handful of people ever heard those words. And everyone who did struggled to hold back tears. Before the ceremony began, Leonor stood alone inside a private room overlooking the palace gardens. Her wedding dress represented generations of royal tradition, yet beneath the elegance was simply a daughter preparing to begin a new chapter. She stared through the window, unusually quiet. A gentle knock interrupted her thoughts. The door opened. Queen Letizia entered. Unlike the photographers outside, Letizia wasn't interested in fixing the dress or adjusting the veil. She simply walked over and smiled. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Sometimes silence says more than words ever could. Finally, Letizia reached for Leonor's hands. "I've been trying to prepare myself for this day," she whispered. Leonor smiled. "I know." "No," Letizia replied softly. "I don't think you do." The room became completely still. Queen Letizia looked directly into her daughter's eyes. "When you were little, you used to run through these palace halls pretending they were your castle." Leonor laughed through nervous tears. "You carried a toy crown everywhere. You believed every problem could be solved with kindness." Leonor nodded. "I remember." Letizia smiled. "I prayed you would never lose that." The words were simple, but Leonor already felt her emotions building. Then Letizia continued. "Today, everyone will see a future queen. I still see the little girl who asked me if queens ever get scared." Leonor's eyes immediately filled with tears. She remembered asking that question many years before. Back then, she believed royalty meant never feeling afraid. Her mother had answered differently. "Real courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing your duty even while you're afraid." Those words had guided Leonor through military academies, official ceremonies, international speeches, and countless moments of pressure. Now they returned at exactly the moment she needed them most. But Queen Letizia wasn't finished. She gently adjusted a strand of Leonor's hair. "You've spent your whole life learning how to serve Spain. Today, remember to protect your own happiness too." Leonor looked surprised. For years, duty had always come first. Protocol came first. Responsibility came first. Hearing her mother place happiness alongside duty felt unexpected. "You don't stop being a princess today," Letizia continued. "But you also become someone's partner. Never let the crown make you forget your heart." Leonor could no longer hide her tears. She embraced her mother tightly. Those watching from outside quietly stepped away, realizing this was a moment that belonged only to them. Inside the room, neither mother nor daughter wanted to let go. Eventually Leonor whispered something almost impossible to hear. "I'm afraid." Queen Letizia smiled gently. "I know. I was too." Leonor looked confused. "You?" Letizia nodded. "When I married your father, people judged everything. My clothes, my words, my smile. I wondered if I would ever be enough." She paused. "The truth is, you never become enough for everyone. You only need to be true to yourself." Leonor listened carefully. It wasn't royal advice. It was life advice. Perhaps the most valuable gift a mother could give. Outside, guests continued arriving. Historic bells echoed across Madrid. Television commentators spoke excitedly about traditions and ceremony. Inside the room, time seemed frozen. Queen Letizia reached into her handbag. She removed a small envelope. Leonor looked puzzled. "What's this?" "A letter. I wrote it years ago. When you first entered military training." Leonor slowly opened it. Inside was only one handwritten sentence. "If one day the world becomes louder than your own heart, come home. You'll always be my daughter before you're anyone's queen." Leonor immediately covered her mouth. Fresh tears rolled down her face. She hugged her mother once again. No cameras, no photographers, no official portraits, just a mother and daughter sharing one unforgettable moment. Minutes later, King Felipe quietly entered the room. He immediately noticed Leonor's red eyes. He smiled knowingly. "What happened here?" Before Leonor could answer, Queen Letizia jokingly replied. "I reminded her she's still our little girl." Felipe laughed softly. "I've been reminding myself of that all morning." He walked over and kissed Leonor on the forehead. I'm proud of the woman you've become. But nothing will ever make me prouder than the kindness you've never lost. Leonor looked at both of her parents. For a moment, she wasn't thinking about crowns, titles, or history. She was simply grateful. The palace staff soon announced it was time. The ceremony would begin in just minutes. Leonor stood before the mirror one final time. She wiped away every tear. Queen Letizia carefully straightened her veil. Then she whispered the words that would stay with Leonor forever. Walk toward your future, but never walk away from yourself. Leonor smiled. I won't. As the palace doors opened, sunlight filled the hallway. Music echoed through the grand entrance. Guests stood. The world watched. Few realized the future queen had been crying only moments earlier. Not because she was overwhelmed by royal expectations. Not because she doubted the future. But because her mother's words reminded her that behind every title is a human being. Behind every crown is a family. Behind every royal ceremony is a daughter who will always treasure the love that shaped her. Years later, historians would remember the wedding for its beauty. Commentators would discuss the traditions. Photographers would celebrate the magnificent images. But according to this fictional story, the most meaningful part of the day happened where no audience could see it. Inside one quiet room, between one mother and one daughter, a conversation that proved love can be more powerful than protocol. A reminder that even future queens sometimes need to hear the words every child hopes to hear. No matter how important you become, no matter where life takes you, you will always have a home. And sometimes, those simple words are enough to bring even the strongest person to tears. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this fictional royal story inspired by public figures, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. What words do you think a mother would say to her daughter on such an unforgettable